started the stream. I have Libby watching the...
I'll go back and tell her we can't insert it. We'll try to go back to the previous.
Okay. Okay.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Good morning. I'm Ken St. John, he, him, and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is quoted as having said, "One day we will learn that the heart can never be totally right if the head is totally wrong. Only through the bringing together of head and heart, intelligence and goodness, shall man rise to a fulfillment of his true nature." Close quote. And Peter Sang, founder of the Society for Organizational Learning, wrote, "People with high levels of personal mastery cannot afford to choose between reason and intuition, or head and heart, any more than they would choose to walk on one leg or see with one eye." Close quote. May we now involve our whole selves, heart and head, body and soul, intuition and knowledge, on our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Let's worship together. Oh, thank you. Now, please say these words with me as we light our chalice. We kindle this flame, symbol of our faith, for the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of love, which calls us to work for justice.
Good morning. Good morning. Nice to be with you this morning. My name is Katie Seifert. I'm the Director of Music Ministries, and we are going to start by singing together. This song we've been doing this month, and it's a song that I learned at the Association of UU Music Ministries Conference in Baltimore, Maryland this past summer. So please stand in body or in spirit. It's an easy song to catch on, but let me just remind you how it goes, and then we'll sing it all together as a community. So repeat after me. Bright morning star is rising. 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 Day is breaking in my soul. Some of you remember it. Sing that with me. Day is breaking in my soul. All right. Bright morning star is rising. Bright morning star is rising. Bright morning star is rising. Day is breaking in my soul. Rise up from morning slumber. 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 Day is breaking in my soul. Rise up and hear your calling. Rise up and hear your calling. Rise up and hear your calling. Day is breaking.
Good morning. My name is Barbara, and I use the pronouns she, her. Welcome to Valley Unitarian Universalist Congregation. It is my pleasure to welcome everyone who's with us today, including those of you in person, as well as those of you viewing online. As Unitarian Universalists, we affirm and promote 7 principles, which we hold as strong values and moral guides. We live out these principles within a living tradition of wisdom, spirituality, that's drawn from sources as diverse as science, poetry, scripture, and personal experience. We're honored you're here to worship with us today and welcome you respecting your age and able-bodiedness, your spiritual beliefs, your religious background, your family, economic status, and political affiliation. We respect your way of loving. Wherever you are on your life's journey, we welcome you to this place of connection and community. Let this time be a coming together, a time of honoring diversity in all its forms, and a time to welcome each other with openness, compassion, and care. For those of you who are visiting Valley Unitarian Universalist Congregation today, we invite you to raise your hand or stand so that we can greet you. Do we have any guests today? We'll welcome everybody. Oh, there you are. Thank you. Welcome to Valley UU. We're glad you're here. A welcome circle will form at the in this sanctuary. I'm sorry to do this, but it's back there after the service. So get a beverage and look for the welcome circle sign and join the discussion. Or just stay and chat. We're a friendly group of folks. If you're visiting online and want to chat with others, we will open a Zoom room after the service. We also take this opportunity to thank and honor the original caretakers of this land, the Pima, Maricopa, and Yavapai peoples. If you have something in your heart that you'd like to share with someone, a trained pastoral care associate will be available after the service, both in person and online. Our pastoral care associate in person today is Carl Anderson. There's Carl, waving his hand. He'll be waiting at the very front of the sanctuary on your right, immediately following the service. Joyce Donahue will be available on Zoom in a private breakout room. Lay pastoral care associates are also available via email during the week at pastoralcare@vuu.org. Our settled minister, the Reverend Sarah Oglesby Dunnigan, is out of the pulpit today. Taking her place is longtime Valley UU member and worship associate Ken St. John. He has put together a super interesting and fun service for us today. The original title of his sermon was a pseudo-intellectual sermon on James Joyce's Ulysses, using no big words or knowledge of ancient Greek mythology. Trust me, a perfect fit for today. And now I'll invite Marcy for the Bridge of Love.
We'll do time for all ages first. I am Marcy Bodrin. I'm your Director of Faith Formation Ministry, and now is the time for our story for anybody who feels young enough to come sit on the floor. We also have our children's collection chalice if you brought anything for that. So we heard a little bit about what Ken's sermon was about, and I think it probably went over my head and maybe the kids' heads a little bit. So here's my take on what it is. Ken is going to talk about a book by a famous Irish writer who wrote a lot about Irish life and culture. Do you guys ever heard of Ireland before? A couple of yeses, yeah, all right. When you think of Ireland, what do you think of? Anybody want to help me with this? What do you think of? Not much. We've heard of the country, but yes. An accent. People have a little bit different accent. Yeah. What else? Bagpipes. Oh, good idea. Bagpipes. Yes. What else? Did you say hot? Oh, okay. Good. What I think of is leprechauns. You heard of leprechauns? Little people that have magic? Yeah. Four-leaf clovers. Also magic, right? The potato famine. Have any of you guys heard about the potato? You've heard about that? Yeah, that's not quite so magic, is it? It was a bad thing that happened. You'll learn about it in school. So the book that we're reading today has all of these things in it. So let's get the book pulled up. There it is. It's called Fiona's Luck by Teresa Bateman. Once there was luck everywhere in Ireland. It filled the air, and anyone could grab a handful of it. This was because of the leprechauns. And they made luck a lot like cows make milk, just really easy all over the place, right? And then the big folk arrived in Ireland, and they were large, and the luck clung to them wherever they went. Something will have to be done, the king of the leprechauns declared. We can't have those huge people soaking up all the luck. What would be left for us? So under the king's orders, the leprechauns wove fine golden thread into magical nets, and then they swept up all the luck and put it in an oak chest by the king's throne, so it could be stored there, and he would distribute it when and where he chose. So it wasn't free and flowing all over the place anymore. Well, then with all the luck locked away, the land of Ireland fell into a time of great misfortune. Hens gave no eggs, cows gave no milk, and the potatoes rotted in the ground. That's the famine part. In Ireland, there lived a woman named Fiona. She knew the leprechauns would know what happened to the luck, and they might be able to return it to Ireland. But she knew that getting the luck back wouldn't be easy. Sometimes being clever was worth more than luck. So Fiona hatched a plan. She used her last 2 coins to buy a cow and some chickens. And every morning and every evening, she took the cow into the barn, and she came out with 2 buckets just overflowing with some white liquid. "Aye, she's a fine cow," Fiona would say to anyone who asked. "I'm lucky to have her." And soon the rumors began that Fiona had pails of luck. And every morning, Fiona would go to the chicken coop, and she would emerge with a covered basket just bulging with these little curved things. "The hens seem to be content," she commented to her neighbors. "I'm lucky to have them." Soon the rumors spread that Fiona had baskets of luck. And then Fiona began digging in her garden, and she filled a wheelbarrow with round, dirt-covered lumps. "Oh, it's not a good year for potatoes," Fiona said to all who passed. "Still, I'm lucky to have what I have." Well, you knew it. Word of her luck got back to the leprechaun king. And when Fiona was walking across the meadow one day, she was suddenly surrounded by the fair folk. They grabbed the edge of her skirt and they pulled, running in a circle, until the landscape blurred her eyes and she found herself magically in the throne of the leprechaun king beneath the earth. The king beckoned to her. Fiona approached. Her eyes were scanning the room, looking for where that missing luck might be. She saw the chest next to the king's throne. It was glowing slightly, like maybe it had a spell on it. "Well, what can I help you with?" Fiona asked politely. "Where are you getting all your luck? Who's been giving it to you, and why?" the king demanded with a scowl. I have no luck, Fiona declared, her eyes looking very innocent. And the king said, we'll put this to a test. And when I prove that you have lied to me, I will take all of your luck and put it with the rest. And then he made a mistake. His eyes looked down at the chest next to his throne. Oh, Fiona knew what he was looking at. Well, that's a sorry bargain for me, she said. If your test proves that I'm telling the truth, that I have no luck, then I demand that you give me a wish. Agreed, said the king, thinking slyly. I'll give you a wish that's equal to the exact amount of luck that you actually have. Fiona knew he was trying to cheat her, but she had a plan. The king's magicians brought out a table and they placed 3 shells on top of it. This is a little shell game. Under one shell, he hid a golden coin. His hands moved faster than the human eye could follow. Where's the coin? He asked when he stopped. So a person with good luck would get the answer right every time. A person with even a little luck would pick the right one every so often, right? Fiona never got it right. No matter how many times they played, never got it right. For the next test, a leprechaun harp was brought out. Didn't know there was such a thing, a leprechaun harp. Fiona was told to play it. The magic instrument created music with the luck of the player. So no matter how she plucked it, the sounds were horrible. Not at all like music. Bring out the chess set, the king ordered. No one could hope to beat the leprechaun king, for he was steeped in luck. But a person with good luck might, last a little while against him. Even with the king trying to lose, Fiona was beat within 2 minutes. You have no luck at all, the king said. What about the milk and the eggs and the potatoes? Oh, I fill my milk bucket with whitewash, and my egg basket was pine cones. My wheelbarrow had dirty rocks, but that's my business. I told you I didn't have any luck, and I didn't lie, so you owe me a wish. The king scowled at her, but agreed. Yes, a wish, the exact value of how much luck you had. Nothing. So that's all you can wish for. Oh, he was trying to trick her. He smiled, thinking that he was the clever one. But Fiona was smiling too. Then, I wish for a hole, she said, because a hole is nothing. After all, and I wish for a hole that will never go away, and I wish for it to be in the lid of that chest. So with the power of the wish, a hole appeared, and luck started to escape. Oh, the king was mad. He howled with rage, but there was nothing he could do. He had made a bargain. So with a wave of his hand, Fiona returned back to her meadow. The grass seemed greener. The sun was rising over the hills, and it seemed to sparkle. And from that day on, luck would always be found in Ireland. But as Fiona would say, luck is all well and good, but I'd rather depend on my wits. All right, we are going to sing the children out if you'll make a bridge of love. And guys, kids, you're going to meet your teachers out, go through the glass doors, and we'll meet out on the patio.
Now let us sing, 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 sing. Now let us sing, 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 sing. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Now let us sing to the power of the faith within. Now let us sing to the power. Sing, sing, sing. Now let us sing to the power. Sing,
Hello, everyone. I'm Terry, and I'm a professional yoga therapist. My pronouns are in process. Today, I will share a glimmer to glow neuromodulation meditation. Some say a glimmer is the opposite of a trigger. Faster than this, something in our environment or in our memories can trigger us. But when glimmers or nourishing things occur, it takes closer to 20 to 30 seconds of attunement to our experience for our bodies to register the opportunity to move towards safety and connection. Something you might find fun to play with is pausing to attend to your glimmers and watching your system grow the ability to light your body up with a glow you can feel. Playing with glimmer to glow in your daily life over time might help you access more states of nourishment you can savor and share with others along the way, or summon them when you need them as an embodied resource to help you attend to times of suffering in you or around you. So as we start, I affirm this is a choiceful practice, and if something I'm sharing does not resonate with you, I look forward to hearing how you modified it. And now I invite you to check in and notice, what is it that you're bringing with you into this experience? What is alive in you? Some excitement? Maybe some anxiety? Your whole emotional range. Welcome. Maybe some of your own pain is with you today. That too is welcome. And as you take these moments to take stock, to notice, the invitation that I'm sharing is to pause and reflect upon this past week, or maybe just the past 2 days, if the week is too broad, and see if you can hone in on one moment that brought you a sense of ease or joy, one moment of feeling loved, peaceful, maybe empowered or protected. Maybe you spent time in a place or with a person when you felt a soulful connection. Maybe your moment was in a favorite spot in your home, seeing the light move across the room in a certain way. Did you eat something that was just right? Did you practice gratitude and feel it shining out of your heart? Did you spend some time in nature and feel a sense of communion with the elements, even if it was only in brief passing? If it's hard to find your moment right now, perhaps invite a little bit of compassion towards that experience. Maybe you might choose to focus in on what's present right here, choosing to be here as your moment. And now whatever you find that feels like a glimmer or a state of nourishment, whatever it is that you choose, let your attention continue to rest on the details of your moment. Savor it. Get to know it. Perhaps etch what you saw more clearly in your mind's eye. Maybe recall the sounds that were present, the look on someone's face that brought you a sense of connection, or the environment that brought you a sense of ease. What did you see there? Maybe you can feel the quality of the air from your moment on your skin. And then now, begin to notice how your body responds as you pause and linger in relationship to your glimmer. What is happening with your breath? How is the quality of your mind? Are your thoughts the same? Do you notice any even if it's super subtle physical shifts. Your shoulders might be softened away from your ears. Maybe it's easier to relax in your chair. Maybe your belly feels more open, or your hands are more restful. Maybe a layer of tension has stepped back, and it's easier to simply be with your body. And now you're invited to sing Loosen by Ali Halbert, and also to participate in one of our centering rituals. You can light a candle, place a stone in the sand, or visit the fountain and let the water element bring you into her flow.
Thank you for that meditation, Terry. We are pivoting this morning. You may have noticed the slides have said that Andrew Seifert would be playing, and our little 2-year-old woke up with spots on their hands and feet. So he is home with him, and he was going to play a song that he wrote on guitar. So we are pulling a slide from, there it is, a week ago. This is a song that we sing, that we invite you to sing with us in spirit and in body. Loosen.
Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby.
So wait a minute. Adam wrote that? Oh, who wrote that? Oh, thank you. So now, for something entirely different, my reflection for today as the worship associate. So Ken shared the text of his sermon with me earlier this week, and one takeaway for me is the explanation that Ulysses takes place over the course of one ordinary day and is written in a style that evokes how humans move through such an ordinary day. Joyce essentially makes the ordinary extraordinary. I see a kind of spirituality in that. Now, I confess, I have never read Ulysses, so I've never done that meditation as Ken did. And actually, I'm not even compelled to read it anytime soon, though, thank you, Ken. But what gives me pause is the notion of an ordinary day during which there is eating, tending to one's body, tending to one's community, and the jazz-like description of a pub scene. It gives me pause because it takes ordinariness and creates art and music without the bonds of a usual narrative style. Our fourth principle states, we, the member congregations of the Unitarian Universalist Association, covenant to affirm and promote a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We are challenged by our fourth principle to continually search for truth and meaning without the bonds of dogma, yet in a responsible way. And for me, the caveat responsible is important because it reminds me to remain humble in the search and to resist the urge to hold on to and or elevate an idea to a perspective above all others, but to be open to the great mysteries of truth and meaning that life authors. In the case of Ken's sermon, how even an ordinary day is filled with mystery. Unitarian Universalist Reverend Paige Getty clarifies the fourth principle in this way. As responsible religious seekers, we recognize that we are privileged to be free, to have resources to pursue life beyond mere survival, to continually search for truth and meaning, to exist beyond bonds of dogma and oppression, and to wrestle freely with truth and meaning as they evolve. As a faith tradition, she continues, Unitarian Universalism makes sacred the right and responsibility to engage in this free and responsible quest as an act of religious devotion. Institutionally, we have left open the question of what truth and meaning are, acknowledging that mindful people will, in every age, discover new insights, end quote. So the concept of leaving open the questions of what truth and meaning are is different from the religious tradition of my childhood, Lutheranism, where folks do exactly the opposite. They have already decided uppercase T, truth, and uppercase M, meaning. And the fourth principle is one of the values that draws me to Unitarian Universalism. And that gives my life nuance in a way that the religion of my youth never did, strictly because of the capital T, truth, capital M, meaning. It never made sense to me. So I'm so intrigued for Ken's use of Ulysses for a worship service. And such a twist is for me one of the many joys of belonging to Valley UU. I'm looking forward to Ken's sermon and most especially the reenactment of a pub scene. So get ready.
Thank you. Thank you, Barbara. And thank Ryan for these cool graphics that he found. I am not a member of the scholarly elite. I have no advanced degrees, just a Bachelor of Science in Engineering. But I have one small accomplishment that gives me some street credit towards being an intellectual snob. I read Ulysses by James Joyce all the way through. Thank you. It's just 768 pages, every single word. It took me 3 tries over a period of somewhere between 15 and 20 years. I finally went cover to cover a few years ago during my post-retirement leisure time, and my thoughts about it have been fermenting ever since. It was a difficult read for me, especially at first. The book's title refers to the ancient Greek saga, the Odyssey by Homer, and real scholars have said that there is a direct correspondence between the two. I remember reading the Odyssey in junior high school, and I'm sure I saw the 1954 movie version starring Kirk Douglas. I recall it being about a hero and his buddies on an epic seagoing adventure that involved a Cyclops and some sirens who sang a lot and other stuff. That's about all I remember. I have no desire to reread the Odyssey or even view the film again, and if that's what it takes to understand Joyce's book, then it's too much trouble. Instead, I came to the conclusion that there is no correlation. I think the whole Homer reference is hooey. Either that or I'm just not smart enough to get it. But trying to see the parallels was futile for me, yet I think it's a fascinating book for other reasons. I did some internet research and found that James Joyce was part of a movement called modernist literature, where they made an effort to break from traditional ways of writing, to forget about what they taught you in school about storytelling, structure, and format, and come up with new and original methods and styles for expressing themselves. Ulysses is apparently one of the greatest examples of modernism. To start with, in my observation, the novel has no plot and does not tell a story. There's no intro, body, climax, conclusion, or structure. There's no moral. There's no message. It's a narrative that describes the minute details of several people living in Dublin, Ireland, over the course of a single day in 1904. Not a remarkable day, just one ordinary day. Well, Homer's Odyssey spanned 10 years. It starts with a guy who wakes up, shaves, eats some breakfast, and hangs out with his friend who eventually goes to work. He's a teacher. Another guy burns some kidneys in a frying pan because that's what he likes for breakfast. And later he gets lunch, does some shopping, stops by the post office. There's a funeral in the afternoon, and in the evening several of them gather in the local pub. These events that are described remind me of the opinion that bread exists to be the vehicle for getting slabs of sweet, creamy butter into your mouth. The day in the life in Dublin, that's the bread. The butter is the writer's craft. It describes what the characters do, where they go, what they say, but most of all, what they are thinking. It's said to use a stream of consciousness style of writing, which presumably mimics the human psyche. Consequently, several passages are almost dreamlike in their discontinuity, and it becomes difficult to follow the story. Eventually, I decided to stop trying to follow the story and just keep reading. But that's not its only deviant element of style. It has no chapters. It's divided into 3 sections, don't know why. They're named 1, 2, and 3 in Roman numerals. I. There are transitions throughout that could be considered chapter boundaries. A page might be half full, so you know the next page starts a new episode. And there are usually content and style clues. Wikipedia says there are 18. I only found 16 The original Odyssey has 26. And on top of that, the writing style changes throughout the book in strange and mysterious ways. I can't imagine how anyone who read the whole book could miss this key feature and remain focused on connecting the dots with Homer. One reviewer in Brazil wrote, "Ulysses is pure style. There is nothing there. Stripped down, Ulysses is a twit." And I agree, it's pure style. But I don't hate the book for it. Style can be interesting. I'm now going to read several excerpts that support my opinion and may even be a little entertaining. In the first 4 sections, we're lulled into a sense of normalcy. Third-person narration, ordinary dialogue, he said, she replied kinds of things. Apparently, it looks like we're introducing characters and establishing the characters like any ordinary book. The stream of consciousness technique, which I call eavesdropping on people's private thoughts, is well established by the 3rd section. I also notice a style I call paintbrush writing. I've enjoyed it in other books by other authors. The page is their canvas, and each phrase is a stroke of the brush that blend together to create a multi-sensory image of the scene. Proper sentence structure and good grammar are not required. I think the Shipping News by Annie Proulx was one of them. Then we get to section 7. Tom, the first slide, please. Thank you. So, first of all, section 7 completely changes the format on the page. It's broken into little subsections. Each of them have a little heading above them, kind of like a newspaper headline. And then it goes on to have some narration and/or dialogue underneath each heading. So here's one I selected. With unfeigned regret it is, we announce the dissolution of a most respected Dublin burgess. Hines here, too. Account of the funeral, probably. Thumping, thump. This morning the remains of the late Mr. Patrick Dignam. Machines. Smash a man to atoms if they got him caught. Rule the world today. His machineries are pegging away too. Like these, got out of hand. Fermenting, working away, tearing away. And that old gray rat, tearing to get in. So I look at that, and I'm thinking, those aren't brush strokes, that's paint splatter. How am I supposed to follow the story looking at a Jackson Pollock representation on the page in words? I can't tell which one's Ulysses. I can't recognize when I see the Cyclops. I can't follow the plot. I decide at that point, my first time through, that this book is above my intellectual pay grade, and I put it back on the shelf and I walked away. So then about 8 or 10 years later, I decide I'm going to give it another try. And this time, I'm going to take a different attitude. So I decide I'm just going to plow through section 7, and I'm just going to let the words wash over me. They're just going to go in one eye and out the other. And I'm going to treat it kind of like a dream. Like my dreams, I don't understand them and I don't remember them, but I believe they're having some sort of an influence on my subconscious, whatever evolution developed that for, and I just trust that my subconscious is having a good time. And that's how I'm going to go ahead and read this. I'm entertaining my subconscious and I don't need to know. So once I got past that, I noticed there's several more surprises in the book. More and more variations on the narration and dialogue style and even page format. So are we on the next one? The next slide, please, Tom. So anyhow, Terry brought these 3 pints. Joe was standing, and begob the sight nearly left my eyes when I saw him land out a quid. Oh, as true as I'm telling you, a good-looking sovereign. And there's more where that came from, says he. Were you robbing the poor box, Joe, says I. So all of a sudden, the narrator is a character and it's first person. Right in the middle of the book, how'd that happen? And it's pretty much just this one chapter, so I don't know why. And this construct here, you see it says he, says I. For this entire chapter that's rich with dialogue, that's the only syntax that's used to describe the dialogue. Says he, says Joe, says Bloom, says I, says we. It's a little silly, but, I can still read it. So there's that. Then the next one. Why not write a story in the form of a script? As though it were a play. You got a little title that says who's talking, you get a line, you get a little stage direction. So this one goes, The Urchins. Mind out, mister! 2 cyclists with lighted paper lanterns a-swing swim by him, grazing him, their bells rattling. The bells. Bloom halts erect, stung by a spasm. Ow! Only one chapter, yeah, and it's silly and it's kind of fun and it's readable, but okay. Now here's another one. This one, it's got no dialogue, it's pure narration, and it's presented in the form of questions and answers, or kind of like an interrogation. And just to make it more silly, this chapter keeps having references to like math concepts. It keeps integrating numbers and geometry terms throughout the chapter. Why not? So, what action did Bloom take on their arrival at their destination? At the house steps of the fourth of the equidifferent uneven numbers, number 7 Eccles Street, he inserted his hand mechanically into his back pocket of his trousers to obtain his latchkey. Was it there? It was, in the corresponding pocket of the trousers which he had worn on the day but one preceding. And why was he doubly irritated? Because he had forgotten, and because he remembered that he had reminded himself twice not to forget, which I can totally relate to because this happens to me all the time, being doubly irritated. I tell me, but I never listen. All right, so somewhere between episodes 13 and 14, there's a block of 61 pages in a row. They seem to straddle the transition. I couldn't find the transition. It's pure narration. Again, no dialogue whatsoever. Somewhere in the middle of that, he decides to change what version of English he's using. So first, on page 378, we got Old English. Of that house a horn is lord. 70 beds keeps he there, teeming mothers are wont that they lie for the thole and bring forth bairns hale, so God's angel to Mary quoth. 8 pages later, we're in the King James Bible. Therefore hast thou sinned against the light and hast made me thy Lord, to be the slave of servants. Return, return, clan Millie. Forget me not, O Milician. Tends to make up words once in a while. All right, then, somewhere in the middle, we get a nice breath of fresh air. Easy reading, romance novel style. Now, according to Wikipedia, they said he's either using a romance style or doing a parody of romance style. I think it was just really using it to say, yeah, that style works in my book too. So you get this breath of fresh air like, for an instant, she was silent, with rather sad, downcast eyes. She was about to retort, but something checked the words on her tongue. Inclination prompted her to speak out, but dignity told her to be silent. The pretty lips pouted a while, but then she glanced up and broke out into a joyous little laugh which had in it all the freshness of a young May morning. Now, wouldn't a whole book like that be easy to read? All right, so then the very last section of the book, the last 44 pages, they're peculiar. It appears to be a pure stream of consciousness of one character lying in bed. It's the end of the day. And I'm trying to remember what was it that started to bug me about this chapter as I read it. Was the fact that the first paragraph in the section was 7 pages long. But no, it was probably the fact that there's not a single punctuation mark on the page, on all 7 pages, on all 44 pages, other than the period at the end of the last word. I counted 4 paragraphs, but that's only because every so often there's an indent with the tab that tells us normally that's a paragraph. First letter is not capitalized, and the previous section didn't have a period. So technically, it's a 144-page long sentence. If this hadn't been the very last chapter, I'd probably be 5 years away from making my 4th attempt. Because, you know, paragraph breaks and punctuation are there to aid the reader. Who wants to read a 44-page long sentence? And I'm not going to read a section from that one. You're welcome. But I think maybe the point is that the thoughts that stream through our idle minds, they don't have punctuation marks. They just flow together. There's a whole lot of connecting words like and, if, but, yet, howsomever, things like that. But not even a semicolon or a comma. And then I saved my favorite section for last. Right in the middle of the book is the Irish pub scene. So imagine you're in a typical Irish pub. Everything's made of wood. It's 1904, right? Hard-soled shoes, heavy tankards of beer, lively conversations and music. Some of the neighbors brought instruments. Others sang and danced. It's all very festive. And the writing style, at least the words on the page, are back to paint splatter. But it gradually occurred to me that it wasn't just a scene with music. I think the whole chapter is written as though it were music. The narration and the dialogue are woven among sound effects as though they are part of the song. So Katie and Hannah have agreed to help me attempt to recreate some of the ambiance in the Irish pub with some Irish folk music while I muddle through the reading. And the reading will be even a little more disconnected than normal because I skipped a few paragraphs along the way. So, something incidentally that when you're peeking into the secret thoughts of people, apparently they often involve sexual content. Who knew? So I kept it clean. All right. When you're ready. By the rose, the satiny bosom, by the fondling hand, by slops, by empties, by popped corks, greeting and going, past eyes and maiden hair, bronze and faint gold, in deep sea shadow went bloom, soft bloom, I feel so lonely bloom. Pray for him, prayed the bass of Dollard. You who hear in peace, breathe a prayer, drop a tear, good men, good people. Come on, Ben, Simon Daedalus said. By God, you're as good as ever you were. Better, said Tom Jin Kiernan. Most trenchant rendition of that ballad, upon my soul and honor it is. Labash, said Father Cowley. You're looking Rubicon, George Lidwell said. Miss Douce composed her rose to wait. Ben Martree, said Mr. Daedalus, clapping Ben's fat back shoulder blade. Fit as a fiddle. Only has a lot of adipose tissue concealed about his person. fat of death, Simon Ben Dullard growled. Was he, Mr. Daedalus said, returning with fetched pipe. I was with him this morning at poor Paddy Dignam's. Aye, the Lord have mercy on him. By the by, there's a tuning fork in there on the... The wife has a fine voice, or had. What? Lidwell asked. Oh, that must be the tuner, Lydia said to Simon Lionel, first I saw. I forgot it when he was here. Blind he was, she told George Lidwell, second I saw. And played so exquisitely. Treat to hear, exquisite contrast. Bronze lid, mini gold. Shout, Ben Dollard shouted, pouring. Sing out! It'll do, cried Father Cowley. I feel I want... All right. It was harder to actually stage that than it was in my imagination. So, let's wrap it up. If there is a point to this book, I think that it is that writing is art. Like with paintings or music, the subject can be depicted in any number of styles. It illustrates by example that there are limitless possibilities for diversity and originality in art. You wouldn't pay $80 million for a Monet because you really love haystacks. You pay $80 million because of the style and method the artist uses to depict it. The use of light and shadow, the blending of colors, the shape and texture of the brushstrokes. How different it looks when you stand far away or up close, and the emotions it evokes in you. That's the good stuff. For the average reader, I suggest you just let the words flow and see where it takes you. Show off your reading skills, just like Joyce was showing off his talent for writing. It should be a little like dancing when no one is looking. Read for the love of reading. It just occurred to me I skipped one of the most important parts, and that's what's up there right now. So I'm going back. At the end of that raucous pub scene, this is how it finishes. It is, I'll just read it from the screen. So it reads, 1, 2, let my epitaph be, Kara, written, I have. Done. So I look at that, I think, that's not the narrator talking, and it's not one of the characters either. That was the author himself, pulling back the veil, looked me straight in the eye, and told me what he was up to. He took a bow. He's just showing off his awesome writing skills. I think that's why he wrote the entire book. Just to show off his amazing writing skills with no particular story to tell. So, read it like you were showing off your reading skills, just like Joyce was showing off his talent for writing. In a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, truth is often elusive, or it's just taken on faith. It seems that meaning isn't always obvious either. With art, and I suppose with life too, our preconceptions can get in the way. Sometimes we may benefit from changing our perspective. Letting go of expectations may be both liberating and enlightening. Thank you.
I don't quite know how to follow that. Thank you, Ken. Our offertory words are by UU seminarian Kayla Parker. She writes, "We know that our financial contributions to this congregation come from sacrifice and hard work. We are so grateful for this and commit together to ensure the funds we gather collectively do a greater good for ourselves and for our world than they could have done alone. May there be an offering to sustain and grow the life and mission of this congregation. May we give in love and in hope." And the ushers will now pass the plates.
Jenny and I are going to sing a song for you. And it's a song about trying on another perspective or trying on another attitude and just playing with what Ken modeled for us this morning. It's called You Know What I Mean. It's by Daniel Namod. And real quick, Jenny, can you say hi? Just want to make sure I can hear
Check 1, 2, hi.
you. Do that one more time.
Hi.
Okay, cool. I lost her in the monitor for a second. All right, this is You Know What I Mean. Just when I thought all hope was gone,
Just when I thought everything was going wrong,
I lifted my eyes and I saw the light.
I lifted my eyes to a new sunrise.
Why give up hope? There is always hope. Why give up a dream? There is always another dream. Why give up a song that I love to sing? You know what I mean. You know what I mean. Do 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 Just when I thought that the world would end, I think I'll have it, yeah, I think I'll have it again. Everything good came from nothing at all.
Everything became someone else's
Why give up hope? There is always hope. Why give up a dream? There is always another dream. Why give up a song that I love to sing? You know what I mean. You know what I mean. Do 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 Can you imagine what it would be like if everybody did what a kindergartner knew was right? What a different world it would be if I looked after you and you looked after me. Just when I thought I should just give up,
open my eyes to my baby's face. Look at those eyes, yeah, that's what I call grace. Why give up hope? There is always hope. Why give up a dream? There is always another dream. Why give up a song that I love to sing? You know what I mean, you know what I mean. Why give up hope? There is always hope. Why give up a dream? There is always another dream. Why give up a song that I love to sing? You know what I mean, you know what I mean.
Thank you, that was lovely. We've selected for our closing words reading number 532 in the Gray Hymnal, which is a responsive reading. So Barbara is going to help me with that. It goes like this. Oh, it's called The Music of the Spheres, written by Ernesto Cardinal. The Music of the Spheres.
A harmonious universe like a harp.
Its rhythms are the equal repeated seasons, the beating of the heart.
Daylight, the going and returning of migratory birds.
The cycles of stars and corn.
The mimosa that unfolds by day and folds up again by night.
Rhythms of moon and tide, one single rhythm in planets, atoms, sea.
And apples that ripen and fall, and in the mind of Newton.
Melody, accord, arpeggios, the harp of the universe, unity behind apparent multiplicity.
That is music.
Please stand in body or in spirit for our closing song. It is a hymn from our Teal hymnal, number 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind. When
We'll now extinguish the chalice as we read these words together. Though we extinguish the chalice, our connection to each other and this community remains. May its light guide us this week as we walk the path of justice, speak words of love, and fill our world with compassion until we meet again. I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful week ahead as we wind down August. Autumn is right around the corner. Have a great time. That's a lot.
Just when I thought all hope was gone, just when I thought everything was going wrong, I lifted my eyes and I saw the light. I saw the light and lifted my eyes to a new sunrise. Why give up hope? There is always hope. Why give up a dream? There is always another dream. Why give up a song that I love to sing? You know what I mean, you know what I mean. Just when I thought that the world would end, that the world would end, I had another thought. Think I'll have it again. I think I'll have it, yeah, I think I'll have it again. Everything good came from nothing at all. Came from nothing at all. Everything good came when someone answered the call. Why give up hope? There is always hope. Why give up a dream? There is always another dream. Why give up a song that I